All right, welcome everyone to our August meeting. There's been a lot that's happened since our July meeting, including the Waikōloa evacuation study, fire on July 10th, Waihae fire, current fire on DKI, and then some other developments. But we're, really happy to see some new faces here. And Matt's going to carry the updates for the meeting while Bob, our other steadfast leader, is on his way. So we'll get started. Before we start, I guess, do you want to gauge what's everyone's current understanding of specifically the progress for a second road for Waikōloa Village? Does anyone have questions on that?
We're gonna hop into the details quick, and I don't want to leave people that aren't here in the weeds. This is the. Do you guys have questions or assumptions? Yes.
We just had an interesting situation in Waikōloa Estates. All of us had no water pressure.
Yeah.
And according to the water company that's been studying it, they decided the two big water trucks filling up to work on the road is sucking our water up. And so I got my sprinklers assessed because they're not pumping up. I thought it was pumping.
Yeah.
So they told us they're gonna force more water into Waikōloa Estates to try and level our pressure. But my question came up was, I asked the water company, what about the fire hydrants over here? If we don't have pressure. He says, oh no, they run on 20 PSI. Do you know if that's true?
I don't know.
That's really low.
That seems low, but I wouldn't be surprised.
They have
there's some way to boost it on the truck, but honestly, I don't. So interesting. There is work going on the new road. I have driven past it on the Queen K, and you can see trucks going up from the bottom. So there's stuff happening, and the contracts have been signed by all 5 landowners. I guess I'll just jump that ahead of everything else. We have requested them. I have formally requested them from the State Department of Transportation, so that we can see. I know for a fact that at least one of the 5 was separate from the others. And so we don't know what the others look like. And we know the WBA's one was isolated and standalone. So we want to.
And it was a rental agreement.
There was a rental agreement.
Not a right of easement for the Kamakōa evacuation route, which I thought was really interesting, and I'm not sure why it was a rental agreement. But
a $0 rental agreement, but that doesn't mean the others aren't. I'm not saying the others are. I haven't seen them. Yeah, we don't know. We just don't know. So we're hoping to find out. I have very formally requested those. And so at some point, I've also requested things back in January that are still outstanding. So it could be a minute or two before we get them, but hopefully it won't be because it's not complicated. I made a very, very, very narrow request for just that. Hopefully those are inbound. We'll have updates and developments based on that. But do you all have any questions? Yeah, I understand sort of where I already lost you.
What's the time frame for getting it done? I mean, is it going to take 20 years or is it going to take a year?
We have no idea. So what they're doing right now, this is a great question. I can show you on the map right here. This is done. Map is not so update right here. This is not Haleʻi-Makaua. This is the skate park. If you drive down there, this is not Nanakai where those luxury homes are going on and everything. The wastewater treatment plant, is right here. It's about halfway down. This is the Queen K. This is the village. This is the wastewater treatment plant. This is a very important marker for our conversations as we go on. So the road that we are currently concerned about is going to be called Kamakōa Drive, and it's going to follow from this right here along the south loop right there. This is a utility access road to the wastewater treatment plant that already exists. It's where those power lines run down if you go to the north end of the village right there. The bit that we are so concerned about is a route that goes from here down to the Queen K, first and foremost, and that goes across 5 different TMKs owned by 4 different people / organizations / LLCs, one of which is the WBA. That work right now is what is happening. It literally looks like they drove 2 bulldozers straight through, so it's wide enough for 2 cars, 2 lanes. What they're working on right now is a single lane only chip seal, very similar to Hulu. And that is going on very actively. And my understanding is that that's not going to take very long. That should be done by the end of the year. However, what is not planned, and we have never seen any timeline for, is any improvement on the route from the wastewater treatment plant to the village. So effectively, the state right now is funding a very fancy driveway for the wastewater treatment plant from down below to up here. From the wastewater treatment plant to the village, that is all county land. And it is compacted gravel. You could definitely drive on it. I wouldn't drive on it fast, but you can definitely do the wastewater, the water company people do it daily. And there's like, it's ready for asphalt. They could do it, they just haven't announced one. So that's the other half of the whole thing. So to answer your question, I have no idea how long it's gonna take, because no one's ever said this is how long it's gonna take, right? I hope it's gonna be less than 20 years, but we don't know. That's all for just a single lane emergency only route that is gated on both sides. Upgrading it to 2 lanes so that fire trucks can come up from the Queen K, no, they couldn't tell. And I wish I had better news, but we're trying to force it a little faster than that. But that's sort of where we're at on that. Okay, is that sort of the top level understanding of where we're at, everyone?
One of the hurdles that we've encountered in the last few months is we don't have the support from the mayor for a dedicated second road for Waikōloa Village. And we know this from his public statements and also private conversations, things he said to us, but he's made it clear that he thinks, we have, I think in his last Friday Instagram announcement, he said that Waikōloa Village now has 3 roads or 4 roads. We've got Paniolo, you have Hulu, now you have New Kamakoa, you have plenty. So, it is hard to say when we would get progress for a dedicated 2-lane new road if we don't have the support of the county administrator behind us, basically.
The mayor has also made some comments about the fact that other communities like Lima need a second road. And so that what he's trying to do is set us up against each other. To say, it's not like he's saying other communities need a second road, so we will start with one and then we will address another. Instead, he's saying, because 2 communities need roads, we won't do either one. That's his position, which of course doesn't serve anybody's interests. And what we don't want to do is set ourselves up in opposition to Puna. To the extent that Puna needs a second road, that maybe they do, we should be talking about priorities. Maybe who goes first, but that everybody should have their needs acknowledged, number one, and addressed. So we don't want to let ourselves get into a pissing match with other communities. That is fatal.
Yeah, and I've seen some of those comments take hold now online when I sort of see a Facebook article pop up or something like that. People will say, well, what about Puna? We really need this first. And what you don't want to say is like, well, Waikōloa needs it more or Puna needs it more. All of these communities have very specific needs. Puna is prone, they're in a lava zone and they need additional access points as well. So it's not, to Bob's point, you can't say 2 communities need this, let's do nothing, which is what it feels like we're hearing from our mayor right now.
It was pretty flippant with your comment on one of the social medias. Nancy wrote in saying, do you understand why we need a road? You just blew her back up.
Yeah,
It's really,
you're
kind of sad.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet up with him again.
Take a look. Just to give him a little tip.
I don't think he's
He's not
coming to the
excited to
village
come to this
anytime
community.
soon.
Visit us.
Yes, so are there any other questions about like sort of top level where we're at? Okay, so back to the agenda, there have been 3 fires in the month since we last met. It's wild. One of them prompted evacuations, the 3rd set of evacuations from this community. Kauai had evacuations. It's absolutely wild. From what it appeared, they're all next to a road. I would not be surprised at all if this was individual. I don't know that, I'm just speculating. So it's terrible, it's scary, and I don't like it. One thing that I did do in the last month is I did go out and fly my drone over the burn site that is close to the village. And I just wanted to show everybody what it looks like. It was really, really, really close to the village. And this Mackay fire break right here, it worked. It held it back and it went and ran the whole thing. So I again want to like give the biggest shout out to WDFI and all their work on this. They set this up so that the firefighters could use it and hold it back. So like that's amazing. Thank you for that. Another thing that I want to note, it jumped one of the fire breaks. You can see
So
very
the fire
clearly.
breaks that were downwind. Didn't work.
Yeah, the parallel versus perpendicular.
The fire break that was alongside the fire worked. So what that's telling us is if we get a fire that comes down the mountain. From, from the mountainside with the wind. We're not gonna stop it.
Like
That's the message.
that's crazy. I couldn't believe it when I was up there. You don't even see it from the road. The other thing that's wild. Okay, you can see the firefighters, they went and dozed out there and they kept it contained. So again, good work on them for going out there and really beating this thing back. You can see very clearly where it started. You can see if you drive on Waikōloa Road, you can see it's right there. It's so
I
obvious.
think Nancy was there.
Yeah.
My white car was on the right hand side of the road,
Yeah.
stopped,
Yeah.
taking pictures of that spot that was on fire. And there was a white truck that was stopped going up the hill just before the fire, and the guy was on the phone calling, so,
Crazy.
yeah, it
There's
was
also, yeah.
so fast,
Yeah.
how quickly it grew.
But that's like 99% of all fires in Hawaii are by roads. Yeah, that's
Is it cigarette?
cigarette butts or firecrackers. Like I'm not kidding. I think it might be a fire bug. Someone intentionally tried to do it. No worse than them.
You don't know, it
last
could
year.
also be like tires on the side
Yeah,
of the
it's
road. when it's
sparks.
very dry.
Like there's all sorts of things that this could be.
Oh.
But this is scary, guys.
Yeah, there's little chains too,
Yeah.
that you bounce along the pavement, they spark off.
But like, these are the apartments that were evacuated, and luckily it was blowing past the village. And also luckily that there isn't really an easy way for one to get started up here, but it happened, and it's scary, and I wanted to address it and share.
Well, but I mean,
Yes.
in this situation, this is not the way the wind usually blows.
Correct.
It usually blows parallel to the road, and if it had gone parallel to the road. It would have blown the fire immediately into the intersection with Paniello, it's right there at the corner.
There takes away the
So,
evacuation.
if the fire had gone in, none of us would have got out.
I have a question, I don't know if this is the forum, but what sets the pace of when the sirens go off and when the gates get unlocked? And, who decides to make an evacuation center further into the village? I mean, did you guys already talk about this before I got here?
No.
These are the people that we are gonna count on, who's gonna tell us when it's time to evacuate.
I know.
And I have no confidence. I have no confidence whatsoever in these people.
Yeah.
So I'm telling all my friends, you smell smoke, you need to go. And I was in Las Vegas when this happened and I called all my friends who don't watch Facebook, they don't do anything. Facebook was the fastest person to be on it. It was before everybody.
Yeah.
And I just told them and they all got bottles of wine and went down to the beach.
Yeah, no, it's the right thing to do.
But what
Um,
is,
But
what's
there were
that?
no sirens for this
there
fire.
were not
I
sirens
think
this
it
fire.
wasn't.
Do we know why?
I
No.
do not know why, and I do not know, I know the gate was not unlocked because they did not issue any evacuations out of village proper. I don't know what the triggers are on any of these things. As part of the giant, so back in January, I requested basically every shred of paper related to the 2021 evacuation. From like 13 different agencies, or 7 different agencies. And we're still working through some of that content. One of the things that I am currently negotiating over are the actual police manuals. That will say what triggers an evacuation or what the procedures are. And I don't know this because I haven't seen them, but I would be willing to bet they're pretty flimsy. And it's pretty much based off of the gut instinct of the people on the ground is what, I don't know that, and I'm not accusing them or anything like that. We're gonna verify that one way or the other. But my guess is that.
In
What's your point?
2021, it was the mayor who made the call to open the gates of Hulu and evacuate the village.
And
Who informed him, who was guiding him, I would guess was the fire chief, but I don't know. And that's the type of thing we're hoping with our documents request. Is it written down?
I do
somewhere?
know they have emails between Mitch Roth, Kazuo Todd, and I don't remember the name of the police chief at the time. But the three of them, at the moment when the evacuation was done, they are currently being reviewed by Corporation Counsel's office in the county. I have had them verbally described to me. I have not read them. So we'll see what they say when they land in my inbox. I
Two
don't-
of the people that I contacted don't drive, so they've
Yeah.
gotta get a ride out.
I know.
And guess who's their ride out, who's in Las Vegas?
Yeah, there you
It
go.
was me, so that's one of the reasons I was contacting them, but if the triggers for the sirens go off and people who are in that state, they can make a choice to get somebody to get them out. But if you have no idea, and you don't follow Facebook and you don't follow any of this social media, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Well, and you also have to remember the use of sirens for anything not a tsunami is brand new
Yeah.
since 2023. They didn't use them in Lahaina, documented that they didn't use them because they've only been traditionally used for tsunamis. And so the Maui emergency manager at the time was worried that people would run into the fire. I mean, that's what he said, as ridiculous as it sounds. So it was only decided that sirens could be used for fire since 2023. And I don't know that we've been tested yet. I feel like the fire on the 10th was really close, but to your point, I don't know what the actual trigger or criteria is for that.
We're 6 miles up something. I think you're gonna really be in a tsunami.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
not our problem.
No, I
That's-
know.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's
But
ridiculous.
The procedures, I don't know, and I can't speak to them yet, but we're trying to figure it. And I'll share out what we can do. As for the members of the community, what we're trying to do is spread awareness. That's what we're trying to do, but we can't, I can't have on my conscience people who refuse to listen and participate and people who we can't physically go help. Like we're trying to do the best we can. And so like we aren't a substitute for the government. What we are is the cattle prod that's trying to get the government to use it. So yeah.
Well, Stephanie at the senior center is trying to put together a list of
Okay.
people who need help getting out. That's something that if any of you, I mean, you're all allowed to make a decision. But to the extent that you can help us educate more people about how to get on her list, but she's trying to put one together.
She won't be back for a little while.
No, she won't be back right now, but
I think when we had one meeting, it was about getting some of the non-driving elders for Puna to appointments, and they found out there is. Can do it, and so I think we might have lost momentum on trying to gather names of people who don't drive.
So I'm interested,
Are you okay?
because that's what I mentioned to you, is that, it came up on next door, a gentleman was asking. And then the conversation went south, and so, but, I don't know, I was just thinking, just neighbors helping neighbors and connecting, because we all know who they are. But, I was gonna ask you, is that CERT's?
No, CERT's not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to direct traffic, right? So if you've got your CERT vest on, like there are very specific things that you are supposed to be doing to be helping civil defense.
Like triage, CPR.
Right, CPR.
Would be responsible for.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that there is, right?
The
So
County Department of Aging, maybe.
so
At one point, the WBA had like when you bought a home in the association, there was a form and you could put down if you needed assistance, but they're not the responsible party. I mean, that is not the place of the HOA
and they
to
don't do that.
manage that. And they don't do it anymore. That practice stopped
But
maybe in
the question is, are there
2015.
people who filled it out that expect the help? We don't know if that is a thing or not.
Stephanie's church.
well, she started a list and exactly, and where it stands at this point, I think we need to check in
It
again.
almost seems like it would have to be neighborhood watch done by your block by block.
Yeah.
Because nobody's gonna go all the way from
Yes.
here to there to get you, to get out. I mean, it's.
No,
I mean, and the thing is, nobody's coming to save us, right? We
Right.
have to reach out to, you have to know your neighbors.
That's what I was.
You've got to kind of know, even if they're not your neighbors, who in the village doesn't have a car, only has one vehicle or is out of town. Like, you've got to, you have to just, we have to know that. I don't know that there's a county department, maybe even if it is their Kuleana to do it with the capacity to do it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Maybe we could reach out to Puna and learn what they do during lava disruptions. I mean, I don't know how other communities handle it.
I think what we should be looking at is a buddy system, like diamonds.
Kind of think.
Yeah.
Where. There's one senior that you're responsible for, if I'm a driver and my wife and I will drive. And we have a neighbor who's a driver. We should both have one person that we know, when we're on our way out, we'll go pick them up. That's the only way it's gonna work.
I agree with that, and it's kind of like when they talk about having your own family plan, where you're gonna meet, that kind of thing, it just add your friends and neighbors who need help. We have two women that we're good friends with, that one's just said, I'm just gonna start walking to your house. And when you see me on the side of the road, stop. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's the plan.
Yeah, and everyone has to feel really comfortable talking about that, because
Yeah.
talking about fire is not very happy or
Right.
joyful. But for our family, so we don't travel in July and August. We do not do it because winter fires historically in this area, July and August. And we also have go bags all 100% of the time. We have go bags for us and our daughter. You just it's not fun to talk about or think about, but it's realistic, because on the 10th, when that fire was there, we were still in the village. I was like, well, okay, we got our go bags and we know where we would go in an evacuation. And we have friends where I'll just say, there's a fire, we're coming. They know. And everyone has to do that, have some version of it.
Is that a focus of this?
Nope.
So I want to take a giant step back.
Nope.
They're all work. I want to support
Not at all.
and celebrate all of this. We are not a substitute for the government. We are not, we are the wildfire safety advocates. And this is the most important word in that entire thing, is advocacy, right? And so I will advocate for that, but we can't maintain a database of all of Kapuna in Waikōloa Village. The model that I want, honestly, and I don't know if I've spoken about this too much in this room, is I think that we really need to have wildfire safety advocates of Lahaina, and wildfire safety advocates of Waianae, and wildfire safety advocates of Palisades, and we need to be going after the more state and federal things rather than the local things. There are local things that are very important. That is the most important thing, in fact. Firewise, defensible space, knowing your neighbors, getting all of that stuff is the vital stuff. But there is no large central organization that is out there advocating for legal change and systematic change. And that's what I think we are
That's
there
the
to
space
try
that we fill.
that we fill, right? There are organizations out there that are civically minded, and I know it sounds like petty a little bit, it's like the Boy Scouts a little bit, or this is like an Eagle Scout project a little bit is starting this up. Or the churches are the ones where your social networks, and we want as big of a tent, and we have been trying since day one to try and invite as many people to this room as possible, and we're always excited when there's new people. But there's still only 15 or 20 of us in here, and there's 7,000 people in the village, and we've made pretty good penetrations into the demographics that are represented in this room. We have made really weak penetrations into the Micronesian population, the Japanese population, and the Hispanic population. And so I don't want to take on saving just our one community that we speak to the most. I want to advocate for every
Legislative change.
and that's why we're going at the government, and we're going to HOA, and we're going at the big dogs out there, because I don't know, I'm not scared of them.
So how can we participate?
Yeah, no, so come to these meetings and listen to how we talk about it, and
Like, what
there-
can we do? like if we wanna do more on the community side of
Yep.
it.
So Firewise, so there is a whole committee here at the WBA Firewise that is very focused on what individual homeowners and residents can do for their property and with their neighbors. And it is if the village doesn't burn down, you don't have to evacuate. I absolutely believe it, and I have always believed that getting rid of all of the vegetation inside the village is the #1 priority. I also think that a lot of people are gonna fight to tooth and nail to defend their lawns, and that it's gonna be almost impossible to remove it all. So that's why I thought that the road is the next best thing off of it for life's sake.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what we're-
you can't tell people with a beautiful 50-year-old mango tree hanging over their roof, hey, you probably want to get rid of that because that is a fire hazard. But that's what Firewise.
Well-
Paradise and Palisades and Altadena, there were a lot of homes that were firewise safe that still burned down.
It's still
Sure,
burned,
exactly,
exactly.
yes.
And the point is what Todd told us last year. When the winds are blowing red flag conditions, you know, we got 80-mile-an-hour winds, we're not gonna stop those flames.
Nope.
I mean, just watch TV, what's happening in Oregon right now.
Mhm.
We're not gonna stop those flames.
Nope, right.
We've got to be able to evacuate. That's why we need the second road. That's why I'm working on this.
Yep.
So let's
So-
move on to the new developments.
I just want to finish this, answer your question.
Yes.
That is with regard to the seniors. We already have a senior center organization. That is started this conversation. So rather than having multiple groups having the same conversation, going nowhere. Why don't you come to a seniors meeting
Oh, absolutely, and I
And-
think about,
and
I-
ask
yeah.
that the group
Getting the groups together.
continue this conversation and take it to the next step, because we've already started that conversation. But it needs a leader who will kind of push in the direction of, you know, getting something possibly organized. And the biggest list of seniors is the list that Stephanie already has.
Mhm.
And what we learned from Lahaina was that half of all the deaths were over 60. 102 died and half of them were over 60. And most of them, and the incident report is very clear, says that the police department went around through the neighborhoods trying to find the kupuna who were not mobile. People who did not have cars or did not drive. And that they used loudspeakers. And that the seniors who managed to survive said they never heard the loudspeakers because the fire itself made so much noise and the wind made so much noise that they could not hear the loudspeakers. So the police were trying to do that work and they couldn't make it happen. And that's something we have to learn from. We have to try to work around that situation. The Lahaina report teaches us a lot that we can learn from.
How do we find out who sets the sirens off and who unlocks the things?
Well, that's, we're on that path.
You are.
I'm on the gates. I know that there's like 8 different people that have them. And so I'm sure like there isn't a rule that says the WVA can't go open it if they feel that it's right. And I'm sure that no one's gonna, if someone's got
But on
yours.
Friday night at 7 o'clock at night, finding anybody from the UVA is impossible.
No, I totally, well, some of them live in the village, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. We're working on it and I've requested the protocols. I anticipate being disappointed.
But you should email Councilmember Hustis or
Sure.
Senator Richards and
Sure.
Carnage because they're probably tired of hearing from just us. And I think the more people who are like, hey, what's the criteria for the sirens,
Yeah.
the sirens, maybe they can ignore.
Makes the evacuation decision to be back further in the village. I was just, what, I mean, am I the only one here that thought that was the wildest thing?
That was James and that was our council member because the county already owns that property.
James who?
Hustis.
James Eustace made the decision.
No,
I mean, it's his proposal.
no, she.
Open up the evacuation
No.
center. at-
Oh, I
No,
was
no, no, no,
talking
no,
about the
no, no,
new,
no, no, no.
like, community center that would be an evacuation center that James proposed.
James does not make operational decisions. He makes legislative decisions.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Makes the decision. Now you've got all
Probably
these
a-
people in the parking lot and they
Emergency
can't
type.
get out because the fire jumped over and we don't have a way out.
Yeah.
That's civil defense.
Civil defense.
HFD, or, and I'm not defending them and I don't know the answer. And I am willing to bet a lot of it is gonna be a situation of the person that's in control is the first man on the scene. And then they wait for the next person to show up and the next person to show up. And the absolute brutal reality of it is that there are 4 police officers assigned to our entire precinct, which includes Waimea, Waikōloa Village, Kauai High, and the resorts. That is so much, there's so much land for them to cover, right? That it might physically take them a while to get here, which is why it's important for extra
One
access.
of them happens to be in this office.
Yeah, that's true. But why that's really a big deal when that happens, right? But they need to be able to get in here, they need access, that's why this needs to be a 2-lane road, not just a 1-lane road, right? And also like why we need to know our neighbors and it more towards the self-sufficiency and being aware, like it really. We can't force them to put more cops on the roads, we're trying. And we're building a relationship, we're way off the agenda, but I did email Chief Mahuna about a month ago, I got his direct email address. And it got forwarded down to our precinct captain, our new captain, Captain Sagan. And she has set up a meeting with me, her, our district major, Roy Valera, and the assistant chief for the west side. And we're gonna talk about the evacuation study, we're gonna talk about all of these things, and I can ask these questions of them directly if you want me to, Annette.
I do.
Okay, well, I will ask them directly what the answers are, and we'll come back and report. We're building the relationships. We're trying to figure it out, and I think a lot of this has been improvisational up until now.
Reactive.
Which is in reactive, which is why I am learning a lot of the records don't exist. Which is disappointing, but also instructive. And that's where we can be here to push for better.
And the other thing we've learned is that nothing would be happening if we weren't out there screaming all the time.
Yes, that's true.
Nothing would be happening.
Yes, they would be doing exactly what they had been done before.
That emergency road, yeah,
No.
evacuation study wouldn't happen.
Sure.
The sirens wouldn't have
But
gone.
complicated.
None of these things.
Okay.
So- so it's not like we
I
got-
can't even hear the sirens at their house.
Yeah,
Sunset Ridge.
The only way I can see is like out in front.
and if it's windy, it's not gonna matter, right? Like, there's no way you're gonna hear it on a windy day. And that's, yeah, and that's the way that's most important.
As I know, I'm going.
That's-
Not-
Okay.
Yeah.
For the blow to
They're not nothing.
Okay.
Actually, it's the door.
Let's get back onto the agenda. We have a lot of things here. We have to keep on proceeding through. We covered the recent fires, I think, fairly profusely. The next one is the new development in Waikōloa. This is a new one that we just sort of recently discovered. It is a state funded one by HHFDC, what is that, Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation? Is that accurate?
I don't know.
Yes.
Something like
Why
that.
housing finance development?
Yes, which is a state funded housing authority and being led by Lincoln Avenue developers. And this one's going right here, which is, this is the access road
Industrial
for
area.
the WDFI. This is where the Greg Brown development sign is happening. And this is what, like 200 new units, and since it's not a county project, since it's a state project, it's going through under the radar. We just found out about it and we are possibly going to intervene on it soon.
This is where there, all that new grading that's going.
Some of it is gonna be housing, yeah, some of it's gonna be apartments,
So down below as well.
By the,
High density housing,
yes.
moderate income, low income.
Affordable housing.
so I think there's gonna be 2 business parks over there in that area.
Yeah.
And then the housing.
Yes.
This is on the way down Left
right
hand
across
side.
from the bottom of the hill where the current housing exists. And that one thing is being constructed.
It
There is
is.
storage back there. It's all, so this is the light industrial area. So this is the road to WDFI and then WIF is back there. But there's already like there's a Helco base yard. I think HWS has some stuff back there. There's some storage stuff already, but it's a mess. If you drive back there, it's pretty gross and like it does need to be cleaned up. So like I'm personally not opposed to the storage facility if it's gonna not be a pile of like garbage in a, lava flow. But this right here is where the housing is gonna be. There is a critical deadline coming up of August 21st. And I'm moving on to the next bullet point here. Bob and I have been spending the last month interviewing several different legal counsel lawyers. And we have found one that we like and that we think likes us, or at least thinks our cases are reasonable. And so we're working on a retention letter right now. I don't know how much more you want to talk about that, Bob, but we're pushing forward on that. I just want to.
Well, I can give a little bit more
Sure.
summary. I mean, we've sent demand letters laying out the grounds for a legal challenge. So we've sent a letter regarding the Waikōloa Greens development, which is the one over where the fire was, but that's that land. And that is a project that's moving forward towards a zoning change that would allow that development. Right now, it's agriculture only, and they want to put in a high density 450 residential unit high rise development. And we think that project should not be approved as long as we don't have adequate road capacity to add more people into the community. That's the basic issue here. The second one is the one that Matt was just flagging for you, the one from the state. That one would add roughly 800 new residents. Waikōloa Greens development would add roughly 1,800 new residents. So together, that's 2,600 new residents. And then the Kamakoa Nui development at the end of Aniolo, the north end of Aniolo there is slated to add about 2,200 new residents, which will bring us up to 5,000 new residents. And then the Nanakai development, which is already underway, but still has very few new residents, would add roughly another 1,000. So we're talking about 6,000 more people in addition to the 7,000 who are already here trying to get out. And this would all happen over the next 5 to 7 years. Right? So what we're saying is the development is not objectionable. But what is objectionable is putting it in place before we have adequate road capacity to get out. That we will not accept. And so what we're saying is that all of these projects need to have an EIS prepared, environmental impact statement. And the environmental impact statement needs to address the existing road risk, the existing risk to residents in the community of being injured or killed in a fire because we can't get out. And the evidence of that is the evacuation study that was done and released last month, which shows us that it takes between 3.5 and 4.5 hours to evacuate the village. Now, that is particularly useful and important information because what we learned from Lahaina, the incident report for Lahaina says the fire burned 1.3 miles into the developed portion of the town in the first hour. So by the first hour, the fire coming down the mountain from any fire coming from the mountainside will burn through Aniolo within the first hour. No matter where it comes into the village, it will cross Aniolo within the first hour. So whoever gets out in the first hour will be okay. But everybody who doesn't make it in that first hour the people who are left behind are not gonna get out. Once Paniolo burns and is blocked, then, and roughly what we're talking about is that in the first hour, 2,000 people could get out. That's another thing that the evacuation study shows. About 2,000 for the first hour. So the rest of us, the other 5,000, or if we had 6,000 more, the other 11,000 are not gonna make it. So that's the argument we put in these letters, saying that under the Hawaii Environmental Protection Act, we need to have an EIS. And that it needs to look at what our risks are during fire evacuations, how much capacity we need to add to this community to get out in that first hour. And what it will cost to get that out. That is to be in the EIS. So what we're setting up here is litigation to require that these projects be stopped at least until the EIS is done. And the EIS will then hopefully give us the information we need to be clear about how much new road capacity we need to make this community safe during evacuations. That's our strategy. And the first deadline that we have is August 21st. So we're just 9 days away from having to file the lawsuit. And we're working towards possibly doing that by working with a law firm that has now said, yes, we will represent you. And our next step then is to find the money to pay them.
So we can get started, but we need some help.
Our goal is $40,000.
40.
40.
Well, that's the start. The
So-
number they gave us on we don't realize.
We as an organization resisted litigation for years. People from meeting one said we should just sue the county, we should sue the state, we should sue. And we were like, we want to have conversations and we want to open doors and we want to see where we can get with just like aloha and goodwill. And surely if they see the situation, somebody will understand and help us. So litigation was not, we've had a lot of conversations to get to this, to get to where we are, and
Yes.
asking the community for money, which, we're going to launch a campaign here soon, is not anything I ever wanted to do because, we have a young daughter who goes to school, everything's expensive, but I think we have a case, and I think that this really could light a fire for action. Pardon the phrase,
For a
but
long time, we thought that the talking and aloha approach was working. When the mayor was first elected, he invited us to come in and meet with him. And we had to sit down, that lasted an hour, and we walked through what the bills needed with regard to the second vote. And at the end of the meeting, he said, send me an action plan. He was engaging with us in a real dialogue around what needed to get done. And so we were really encouraged by that. And then it stalled somewhere along the way, and we weren't sure why. And then we had a meeting with the Nanakai developers representative. And he said, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get my boss, the owner of the development, to pay for the second road. And we were skeptical, but we had to give that a chance. We thought if he can make that happen, that's the solution. That makes the most sense. We don't want to stand in the way of that. And then he never got back to us again. And the guy we met with was ultimately fired.
It's fired. Not in his position
So
anymore.
that was the response from the developer. That told us, okay, that's not gonna work. And then we went to James. We said, James, let's get the money in the budget. And he put an amendment in last year's budget for $2.5 million to finish the engineering and the design work for the road so that we would have a firm estimate of what the total construction cost would be. And we had the project ready to go ahead with a contract. So that was really encouraging, and when we walked out of the budget meeting where the council had just voted 8-1 to put that in the budget. It's like, oh, right, man, we're moving ahead here, this is gonna get something done. And the mayor's representative met us in the hallway outside the council chambers, and he said, yeah, you watch us, we're gonna get this done, we're with you. And we thought, okay, this is moving ahead. And 6 months later, we hadn't heard from anybody. And Matt sent a message to the mayor, and the mayor called back. And he said,
And you happen to,
I'm not doing anything.
And
This,
he said, you think you know everything, you're smarter than me. No, you're not getting that.
so we had all of these windows that we thought were opening. Which was why we said, we don't need litigation, that's not the right course to follow. But every one of those windows has now closed. And none of those opportunities are paying off. So now we're down to, all right, let's try the court.
Well, I was
So
trying to
even
have,
the developer that was supposed to help at the end, that's over, that's not.
well,
No, they're
They won't
not
talk
doing-
to us anymore.
it's not over, they have a development agreement. That says that a second road is an optional improvement in their second phase. Their second phase starts after 276 homes are built. And their other option is widening Paniolo from Waikōloa to school all the way down to their development at the end of Paniolo. It's gonna cost about 1/10 the price of a second road. They have never committed publicly one way or the other. They have sent some pretty clear signals that they're not doing the second road, that they're gonna be doing Paniolo. And we, since it's
no,
a.
they told me to my face,
They told me to look.
they're not gonna do a second.
Well, they have, it's one or two houses.
Yeah.
So.
I think it might, there's a possibility Nanakai turns into another Ainalea, which is the other bankrupt development, because
Is that the one across from the Malama?
Yes.
yes, and they have lowered the prices on those Nanakai homes several times now. But really quickly, to Bob's point, this is the letter we've received from the mayor. It's on our website. I put all these letters up now, and so they say, he says, at no time did I promise that the county would build this road. And he talked about how the $2.5 million that our council member got in the budget was a wish list item, and there's no obligation.
Where's the wish
Say
list?
wish list?
He did write it in.
I think it's on the second page. Anyway, you guys can read this joyful letter at your leisure.
But the key point is all the things that we thought would pay off have not.
2 weekends,
That's what we have.
said that this is just something you want for
Convenient.
convenience.
That while the Waihai was being evacuated,
Yes.
we said that we wanted it for convenience on the news. It's horrifying.
Well, we need the community to hold him to task. That shouldn't stop. And we're still gonna write comments on testimony for council projects that come up that are relevant, and we're still gonna make comments on the budget whenever we can, but we also can't wait 20 years.
Yeah, so the government doesn't have like a magic wand to force the county to do anything.
The governor doesn't?
No, of course not, just the same way the county doesn't have a magic wand to force the HOA to do anything. Right, or like the president doesn't have a magic wand to force Josh Green to do anything. They're separate entities. That said, we do have direct lines with Josh Green. I have his personal email address, and we do email him regularly. The HHFDC letter that Bob was mentioning a moment ago, I emailed that to his personal yahoo.com email address, and he responded within 15 minutes, saying, hey, here are the people who are gonna go work on it. Now, I haven't heard from those people, and he's done this in the past to me as well, but I do know how to get the governor's attention.
Yeah, so we know he's aware of our objections to the new developments. We know that he's taking it seriously because he responded to us. We don't know exactly what he's gonna do about it, so we'll wait. But we can't count on that. We can't let this litigation deadline pass. After August 21st, this case goes away. We can't.
That, because that is the deadline for public input, right? There's
No,
no,
that's the deadline for being in the courtroom.
for being in the court, yeah. So we have to move expeditiously.
And we are. These meetings aren't the only thing we do. By a long shot.
Planning on is to try to stop the development until we have a second road, is that, did I hear it right?
There are more theories that I am in dialogue with our lawyers about. One of which would be aimed at suing the mayor directly to make him go ahead. But this is all in enough state of continuing, evolving dialogue that I don't want to go into the details, but it's not just to slow down the new vote.
Yeah, top level, yes, we want to tie the road to any new development. Our comment on the budget earlier this year said that we oppose any money being spent on Kamako Nui, and what we proposed instead was that they do the design work for Kamako Nui and the design work for the road at the same time, and then the construction on the houses and the construction on the road at the same time, and don't put new people in houses until the road is open for traffic. But that was what we wrote, and we proposed exactly what legal angle this takes when we file. I can't tell you right now, we don't know.
I think you know what our ultimate goal is for this
Yeah.
community.
Yes.
You know,
We need 2 roads in and out.
I mean, we need
We need
6,
6.
but yeah.
Yeah.
As a minimum.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I work in Waimea, I came home down quite high, because Waikōloa was closed.
Mhm.
To come down from the upper road, when I went along the lower road, saw that our access road was not open, I was shocked. And I'm like, okay, so fire isn't that bad, I can get home and I come and the fire engines are right at the
Right there.
section, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
absolutely.
not okay, and
No.
I think our life should be.
Well, it's not just that they
Yes.
were at the intersection, they were blocking the intersection, you
Yeah,
couldn't
so-
go off the road.
You could not evacuate this place without that access road open. And I don't think it should be an outside entity's choice that we evacuate. And I think that's the one thing, when we're talking about the number of retired citizens we have in this community. That if you choose, I'm gonna leave now, they should be able to.
You can. You
And
can drive out right now. So this is
so
this.
you can drive down Waikōloa Road.
Yeah.
But the fact that that wasn't open, there
Oh, I
wasn't a
see.
choice. In other
Oh, I
words, they
see.
took away our choice.
Okay, understood.
I've long thought it's a problem that we don't have enough representation, people in government who live or work or have family in Waikōloa Village, because truly we lived in the village for 10 years. You don't understand it until you're in it. And the winds are blowing and you just get one whiff of smoke.
Right.
And suddenly, I mean, we're like, every part of your body is on alert. You don't get it until you're here for that. And we don't have enough people representing us.
You could
who
see
live
the
in the
Kauai
village.
hot fire
Yeah.
from the village.
Yeah.
And
I called 911 because we could see it from our lanai, and it scared me.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's terrifying.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
it's
seems like it's a long way to get there, but as the wind blows or the crow flies or the fire, it only takes one spark to fly.
And
Well, the saddle road is closed right now with fire.
yes,
And that is lined up to Waikōloa too.
Yes, it is.
Just on
Exactly,
that duty thing, and it's lined up straight to
and the
us.
55-mile-an-hour winds are supposed to start on Friday.
Right.
hopefully the rain precedes it, but I
But
I
we
don't know.
can't be
this
sure
one. No,
whether
we
the winds
cannot. I
come
hope it
first.
does. So.
Well, I thank you for pursuing this, because that's what I'm here for, I really want to see
Yeah,
a
Okay.
second dedicated road.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
We're seeing a
Okay.
2-lane
Open all the time.
egress,
Why
ingress.
we have
Yes.
choice.
regularly, yeah, yes, back to the choice thing. So the one thing that I would endorse and suggest more than anything out of this is if you are concerned, leave. Go. There's no harm in going early. I know people went to the beach. I know people go to Costco. And that do it, right?
Well, and that was,
You're
we
less
always say
trapped
that
there.
was our biggest regret from 2021. Our daughter was not even 1 year old, and we waited for the evacuation. And we're looking out the window and the sky is orange and our air purifiers are running and we're scared for our lives. But we thought, well, they haven't told us yet. I mean, we truly didn't understand the situation. Now we'll never do that again. You smell smoke, you see fire, you get the alert. We personally, our decision for our family, we're gone.
Yeah.
We're out there. That's it.
And
And I think everyone should do that.
on July 10th, I was fielding phone calls from people asking if we should evacuate or not, and like, again, I'm not a government official, I don't have any authority, I'm just some dude that yells at government officials mostly, but, go, like, there's no harm in going, leave, be ready to go,
can.
and like, if
It
you
is.
can.
It's a privilege.
Does that, it's not gonna help.
No, of course.
One way
Well,
out.
yeah.
Totally, 100%.
That's the point.
Well, I mean before, because
Two ways in and out.
99% of people are gonna wait until the evacuation is called, and so, yes,
My thought is, and this is just because we're kind of new,
yeah.
I don't even know what we would need in a go bag. Have
Oh.
you got that on your website somewhere?
So,
Firewood, that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not our space.
Yeah.
Electric,
Yeah.
Firewise, there's a whole bunch of, and you can have Firewise come out and do a free assessment of your home,
Okay.
and they'll leave you all that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get a fat packet, ready, set, go is the terminology.
Shelley.
Mary
She's
Schramm.
Mary Scrampy now in the village.
Contact her, or you just go to firewise.com.
Yeah.
Go, your
HW.
WBA members?
Are you in the WVA?
What's that?
The
You're at
Waikōloa
WBA?
Village.
Yeah, we're up on high. Island.
Yeah, go on the Waikōloa.org website and just search Firewise, and there's a contact information there. They have monthly meetings, and
Yes.
they are absolutely the people to talk to about the things to do within and on your specific home. That is their expertise, and I don't want to stomp on their ground at all. We're here to deal with the big things, the structural stuff.
Okay, so-
Yes, Nancy, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Do you have
The route that the second road would go.
Sure.
Because you and James came up with the money to study that feasibility.
money go?
So I do,
Well, okay,
you must have a preferred route, right?
yes, we do.
I personally would just like to get out. I don't care if I'm going up a hill or like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But there is sort of one that exists and that people talk about.
Those are all that might be maybe less ditches to cross or whatever, less treacherous.
Okay. So, and to be clear, the money, like, it wasn't real, it was. The way that the budget works is they voted to allocate $2.5 million, but they didn't say this is gonna be the source of the funds. It was just intended to be out of the general operating budget, so like, it was never spent, and where did it go? Every other project in the county is where it went, right? It went to salaries, and it went to local bridge, and it went to the road, it just went to the county's operating budget. I don't care which route the road takes, I just want a second way out. From the beginning, that has been it. This has always been the most preferred route, and so that's the one that has been being pursued forever and ever and ever. But again, whatever, I don't
When
care.
people come up to us and are like, what about going this way? That great. Which one can we fund first?
Yeah,
That will be open 24 hours, 2-lane in and out. I mean, that's my preferred route.
this is the most likely one of those. And so this purple line that we're talking about, that's all the county land on Kamakōa Road. And then this is the thing that the state is working on right
So this is already like somewhat paved. That's why people talk about it.
now. Yeah, it's
The
great.
groundwork is basically there.
Whatever happened to the bottleneck Bob told us where it like came from one lane or to.
I have no idea exactly, but
Yeah.
Bob, Bob, you know, it's right up in here.
The county. The county
We'll scroll out.
line.
Can we zoom
Yeah,
out?
over. a little bit. Yeah. The county line, property line ends right about here. And this piece from here to this fence line, this is a fence line here. That's private land, from fence line on over. This piece here is village land.
Oh.
And the wastewater treatment plant is on least the village. And right in here. Is a section that is not cut for a road. There's nothing there. It's just a disturbed ground that. Has a WEER system in it right now. where the water from the treatment facility flows out onto the ground surface and runs over to this gulch. These trees are in a gulch. And so from here, roughly from here to here, this is a pool. And it's got an 8-foot wall right next to the road on this side. This is actually the road that exists. And on this side is about a 10-foot drop off. So up to here, this is 20 feet wide. It is 2 lanes. And from here to here, this is 1 lane. With a drop off on this side and a pool on this side.
Yeah, this route isn't perfect.
So that's the piece. I talked to Rob
Lee.
Rob Lee at H-Dog. He said they're gonna do a different alignment for this section. And get away from this drop off. So what he's talking about is something like this, so it's gonna connect to their road over here. But how that's gonna get cut and built, I don't know.
You can see, this is that's the cut, like it's on Google Maps already.
Oh.
Yeah,
So like that, I turned off the line and you can
Yeah.
see it.
so that's graded. It's not paved. It's just been graded. So it's smooth enough to drive a piece of wheeled equipment over.
Like 4x4 sloping, like
Yeah.
you're not taking a minivan.
Early Hulu dates.
Yeah, it still has to have
Yeah.
a finished surface on it in order to drive our cars,
But they are working on
but
it.
it is great.
And it's a cut path, right? So that, I think that's why this is the most talked about route, because it's graded. The foundation is there for it in theory to be developed into more, into what we're
And
asking for.
it avoids some significant archaeological stuff. It avoids a bunch of gulch crossings, which is every additional gulch crossing adds like $10 to $15 million to any construction. So like that's a big deal. So yeah.
So just north of there,
Yes.
isn't it the Lululemon right above? I can
This-
see it that way.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this I specifically pursued this because this does connect to the village.
Yes.
And I'm not endorsing this. If I lived in the village still, and if I was on the north end, I would have a 4x4 truck and I would take this north route right here. This is the Mackay utility route. It
Right.
would go straight up. It connects up here. There's a bunch of water tanks and stuff. This is where the windmills are. This all connects.
Right.
It's graded, it's gravel, and then it goes straight back down all the way to
So-
this.
Why isn't that because of the?
Yeah, it is, but the problem is, so I contacted the State Department of Transportation.
There's fences with gates.
There are fences with gates,
Click.
I mean, there's fences with gates on Hulu, right? The problem is, that
So it goes by.
it goes by, it's never gonna be a real road. It goes past some really sensitive facilities. All of the water for the west side basically is pumped up here. And so you drive by tons of wells and water and like,
But just for an emergency.
well, no, for an emergency, yeah, that's why I said, if I had a 4x4 and bolt cutters, I'd probably do it. But in order for this to be like, get the official government stamp of approval, the police are gonna market and everything. It would require the permission of HELCO, HWS, the county water department, and the grazers who have leases on the land next to it. Which I was like, that is insane, but that's what the HDOT told me, and so I never pursued it further after that. But I did actually go to call some people on this.
And the other thing too is I know
Leia.
since they're bankrupt now,
Mhm.
it's like, so who owns that property? Cause I also heard if you have a 4x4, you can take that route down.
You can, yeah, and I've heard that those talks are restarting. I don't know where it is, and if they do get restarted, that'd be awesome because the Hulu might actually be upgraded to a real access road, but until that happens, it's never gonna happen. But they would use that for access for construction stuff to Inalea,
So I'm on this here.
yeah.
So if we have Inalea, we've got Hulu, we've got the Lilo access. And Hamakulo, Hamakulo community, there's core right there, maybe we just need to keep educating people that. Click, everybody has their own little gatekeeper. Start educating people that there are ways to get out.
Sure, and we'll keep talking about all of the maps around.
We are a federally recognized nonprofit.
501c3.
We will not endorse such things on.
Okay, well,
I'm not endorsing trespassing.
Disclaimer in there.
I'm not endorsing.
I will fundraise for boat cutters.
That sounds like a fantastic cause.
$40 at Lowe's, but I don't know if the beaker's big enough.
Jen-
Just put one right like on Hulu, big a little bow on it, and then right by,
Somebody will
The
take
more
it.
important thing is not the gates, I have driven all of these roads myself.
Oh.
It is extremely rugged, you need a 4x4 lifted truck. You cannot take like your Honda Civic or something, right? And so like, this is the reason it's not endorsed by
What
anyone.
were you driving when you drove it?
I was in like the Tacoma, like a 4x4.
Oh, so you were lifted.
Yeah. It's like,
they're just educating people. People that have 4x4s, go this way. People that have Civics, go this way.
people who have 4x4s make the decision that they want and go for it from there. And know the land and support your neighbors and pick up your friends and all of those things. We want people to live and be safe. But most importantly, we want everyone to do that.
Okay, this is where I'm gonna plug.
Yes.
3 lanes down, 1 lane back.
Okay, I'm gonna jump to the evacuation traffic
Actually,
study.
that has to be our last agenda item. We have
Okay.
20 minutes left and we like to respect everybody's time. So
Okay, so
wrap it up.
anonymous woman in the back, the 3 lanes down thing was specifically tested in the evacuation traffic study. And the evacuation traffic study, I wanna take a big step back.
Did anyone here go to the meeting?
Yeah, but I got there late.
Okay.
It was awful. I mean, it
Alright.
was yeah, it was awful.
It got, I apologize to anyone in the room. If you were offended by my behavior at the meeting, I think that it was important and thank you, I appreciate that you all support me.
I was offended by the gentleman that was.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was offended by the parameters that the county had suggested
Yes.
to be the evacuation.
Yeah, so it's important because it does show that we can't get out. Full stop, we know that it demonstrates. There's numbers on an official government standard document that says, hey, listen, a lot of people are gonna die.
I think it said 4 hours and 35 minutes to evacuate every single car. But that was not with any of the additional housing and residence time.
And that was with Hulu open, that was with Waikōloa Road open, Mauka and Makai, both directions, they were assuming. As soon as in their own study, as soon as the Mauka end got cut off, those numbers shot up to 6.5 hours.
Yes.
It was totally.
Evacuating the resort.
Well, so they were evacuating the resorts and they were assuming there was background traffic. The half of the traffic on the roads came from background traffic. So, anonymous lady who keeps on, I don't know if you both want to be anonymous in this, so I'm sorry. Anyways, they said in the study, literally they tested opening up a 3rd lane from the village down to the Queen K. And they said that it actually added time to the evacuation, it added a half hour to the evacuation. Because they said that if a 3rd lane was open on Waikōloa Road, all of the sudden Waikōloa Road became very attractive to background commuter traffic. And they actually described someone driving from Kona to Waimea via the upper road on Highway 19 up to the Arc, turning left, going down Waikōloa Road, down to the Queen K, then going north up to Kauai High, then going on Kauai High Road up to Waimea during an evacuation, and that enough people would be doing this that it would negatively impact evacuation. So the whole thing, it's important. They spent money to say, hey, you all are screwed, but they did it in a really poor way. And so we need to come to some sort of consensus. I don't know if you want to do this now, Bob, collectively, or if you want to do this over email. but we need to come up with a collective of what the specific things what we want rerun on. Because I have already requested from KLD Associates a quote, and thank you, Rebecca, for engaging with me. It was a tense meeting, and she and I have been emailing very respectfully and everything since then. So I very much appreciate that. And they are going to provide me with a quote to rerun the entire study with appropriate background information. However,
Representation from somebody who lives on this island.
yes.
To give input.
However, they said that they need permission from the county to do so because it was. So I emailed the county.
Like that,
Well,
email up.
So I emailed the county permission. They did not grant it immediately, so I then emailed the county a WIPA document request for all of the inputs. Every single one that would be sufficient for rerunning the thing. And they are gonna provide me with that. And KLD said, okay, we'll run it off of that. So we're waiting on the actual data. It's not gonna happen as fast as I had hoped for, but we're gonna, I don't know, they could quote us back and say it's gonna cost $80,000 and like do that. But we're gonna find out how much the number is, and we're gonna go and ask you all for some money, and we're gonna try and get the real data and the real numbers to see if a third lane actually is helpful. And the most important thing was we're gonna have them test what they didn't test if Waikōloa Road Mackay is cut off. At no point in time do they test that. That is the justification for a second road right there. That almost happened on July 10th. Paniolo and Waikōloa almost got cut off. That's why we need a second road. So we need them to test that.
In every scenario, this is the part that drove me nuts. Waikōloa Road was never ever closed in any scenario. But we all experienced 4 days before Waikōloa Road was closed. How could that not have been? And we experienced it in 2021. And we experience it every single time there's a fire up there. They close Waikōloa Road. And they sent out notifications on July 10th saying not open except to residents. So there wouldn't be that background traffic. But they didn't run any of the lived experience we all have. But parts of the study were good and were helpful. We did learn a lot, but other parts of it, as we all know, don't make any sense.
I think she felt a little blindsided, like the school bus is not.
I know.
No, I think
So-
she
She did not have the facts about
Yeah.
anything.
Well, it wasn't her fault. That was what the county provided.
Listen, I'm not saying it was.
Yeah, and folks.
She spent a lot of money to find out
that
the
information.
people, no, but the people who provided her with
Right.
what they wanted for the same
Right.
was completely not what's
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, but my point still, and I'm gonna say this again, is if we could just do the 3 lanes out and start educating the village in the normal way every month in the breeze, so that they knew we were gonna take 3 lanes out in both directions. That is 6 times the amount of people that can get out in 2 different directions.
Actually, I'm glad you said the breeze. This is a separate conversation, not something we have the capacity to do, but we all have to stop thinking about the WBA as the mouthpiece and the communication center for the entire village. Because there is going to become a time where they're not, they don't represent the majority of the residents here anymore. That time is coming very soon. That's too big a burden for them. And I always look to Waimea and the Waimea Community Association, which is not an HOA. It's a nonprofit community group that's been around, I think, since the 80s or 70s. And they speak as the voice of that community. Right. We need somebody, a leader in this community, to come up with something like that. That's where we can communicate these ideas outside of the WVA, because I don't personally think it's appropriate for the WVA to always be the mouthpiece for county announcements, right? That seems beyond the scope of a homeowners association, but they do it because for a long time they did represent the majority of members. But we can't rely on that. And the breeze again doesn't get the circulation you think it does.
Yes.
So for the association, we could have just half of what they have here, where it's just information, you don't need realtors or, buy one and get one free. It's just information for Waikōloa Village.
I
I
think
mean,
there's
the
a,
association is wonderful if everyone is seeing what they're doing out there.
I think there's a need for it. There's a desperate hole and somebody should do it. I would do it if I didn't have a 5-year-old daughter, but
Have
I
a lot of
do,
other things happen.
and I'm very busy.
The fabulous thing though that always comes through is Facebook, Waikōloa Insiders, Facebook, all of
So-
it. Facebook and next door were saying the fire thing on July the 10th, way before.
And there's no doubt that there's
Nancy.
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 Oh, yeah.
So I was telling everybody and my neighbors, follow Nancy, because she was there. You know?
So,
But there will draft, like, the problem that, I don't wanna go too far down the rabbit hole with
let's
this,
take
but
the giant step back.
Yeah.
We are not a replacement for the government. We are here to try and poke them forward. And I can't make a decision saying that we're gonna open up 3 lanes. I'm not the cops.
I can.
I don't. You guys start driving down because but we're gonna have.
you out there with the traffic lights, so just like.
My other girlfriend
There you go.
is gonna say, follow me, that's our cars.
But the,
And split push.
we want to have actual real documentation that we can make an actual legal argument to force the issue.
And
that's it.
actually, I'm glad that you brought that up again. I mean, now that you guys, we're almost done with the meeting, we're wrapping it up. We've told you about our litigation plan on a really high level. As a community, as people who maybe could talk to your neighbors, what do you think about it? What's your appetite for being able to financially support something like this?
We're gonna need to raise at least 40,000.
Question.
Yeah.
Waimea has some really wonderful donors for their community association. But Waikōloa has the Hilton and the Marriott. And so maybe we have Waikōloa Land Company, maybe we have some wonderful donors too to support us in.
Yeah.
What about a grant?
Well, okay, so are you asking about for our organization specifically, or are you talking about for some theoretical Waikōloa Community Association?
No, I was thinking, or, they probably wouldn't wanna participate in any litigation.
That's right.
But,
Right.
yeah,
That's right.
but, I just was wondering if there was some way that they might want to assist with keeping the village more safe, because I don't see them being part of the conversation.
I reached out to them.
We have attempted, yeah,
We're
that's a
happy
good
to go,
idea.
And I was directed to a representative of their trade association. And it was one of the most negative meetings I've had in this entire process. I was told that I was being selfish. And that the resorts give enough already to the community, and how dare I ask for more.
Oh,
If anyone has a more direct connection,
Yeah.
maybe
Maybe it
Matt
was
is
just
not
been
the
one
right
person and
person.
it was, but
And we're not close to trying again, but resorts are not going to want to support litigation. There's
Oh, no,
absolutely no
no.
way.
but there was, I apologize with my memory, but first you said we need to fundraise for litigation, and then there was a second fundraising opportunity, what was this?
We did the
Oh,
study.
Study.
we don't know yet.
Study,
Yeah,
and so.
But
But that's still,
not
yeah,
urgent.
yeah, that's not urgent. I also have a fundraising opportunity for like academic research drone to come to the community, and I have $100,000 grant written out for that, right? So like we have a lot of fundraising opportunities,
Yeah.
and there's more than enough places for people to give. And if anyone wants to lead the fundraising arm more than me, that'd be amazing for the organization. But it's really just a Cassie thing, and it's what projects are in front of us right now, and the things that we need to spend money on are time sensitive.
Andrea has her hand up.
Yeah.
Andrea, can you unmute yourself?
I just did. My question, I have one question for Bob. I didn't hear the amount he said we needed to raise.
Well, we need to start with 40,000 in an account that's dedicated to the litigation.
40.
40,000, and that's not like what we need to sign, and that's not what we need to get going, but that's what we need to feel comfortable that we are seriously going to see this through.
We could,
Thank you. I understand. I just wasn't sure of the amount because Bob's voice dropped off. Thank you.
Yeah,
But that's
And I am in favor.
that's
I
a
am in
starting,
favor.
that's a starting number. It's a number that I think we have to have in the bank by the end of the year,
that's fair,
and that we'll need another 40,000 next year.
that's fair.
That's the way to think about it.
Yeah, and we have a couple donors, higher donors who we could reach out to, but I think it's important that the community feels ownership over
Yeah.
this as well.
Yes.
Everybody knows that it's a 501c3. We can all donate monthly.
Right.
It's tax
It's
write-off.
tax
I think if
deductible.
the word could get out to the village about that, I think you'd get a lot of people saying, oh, I'll give you a little every month.
I think so, yeah.
I hope so. It's just very
How
not
do
fun
you-
asking
Yeah,
for
how do we
money.
get it out?
Yeah, and you're going knocking on doors and a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but we're
That's a
exploring
place
that.
to start, and it's a way even small amounts can.
Yeah, and I mean, we have it set up on our website already, like, you just.
Well, it's not a GoFundMe, but we just have an ongoing
But
donation.
I also wondered about insurance companies. I don't know how much they give, but if we were to reach out to insurance companies about donating to this cause,
Yeah,
it's gonna help them in the long run if they're not having to replace half the homes. Because of a fire, they helped us.
so, yeah,
fight the
so,
fight.
That would
yes.
be some foresight and creative
The-
thinking on their part.
but also a second road isn't saving the homes, it's saving the lives, it's not saving the property value, and, I have kicked around the insurance company idea a lot, and I lean more, the further away I get from the situation, towards calling them up and being like, hey, are you guys doing it? But I've also heard that people's rates like jumped up a third last year
And the drop.
and been dropped, so I worry if we poke the bear, it's gonna wake it up and it's gonna not, it's
Oh,
gonna,
no, they've gone around
Yeah.
and just taking pictures of homes. I mean, ours was fun that they took pictures of,
Oh.
and they told us, we asked, what are you looking for? And they said that as long as we didn't have lots of large foliage close to the home, and they said, you're probably fine.
Actually, someone came to our house to take photos.
So.
oh, that's right, that's right,
what
that's
we
right.
should
They're
be thinking
foreign.
about them, because they're obviously thinking about it in a way as well.
Yeah.
So, what if we got real creative and had a table monthly at the concert, at the stables?
We have been,
No,
but-
she's talking about the
Yeah.
Friday
A
night.
free concert and then have somebody that's outgoing.
Well,
And just do a small presentation of what we're trying to accomplish. And have a donation, this is what we're doing during intermission when the band is retuning.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The problem that we've had is that we are a ragtag team of like 5 of us.
we sign up for these things and it ends up being as them like them.
Just
And so we only have as much time, like, we show up to all the things, we do,
if we could have some support.
yeah.
You know, which not just to the meetings, but if we did something like that, we've been talking about a booth outside the KTA because we all go to the KTA. I think even just the magnets, putting them out there is beginning now after a year to generate enough interest. That people are like, what's happening with that?
I think if you get in front of those people that are cozy in their chairs and drinking beverages with just a little blurb about what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing, you know, without going on and on.
Yeah.
I think
You
that's-
send me the information on the next one and I will commit to doing it.
The 22nd.
That's a Saturday.
Is.
Okay.
Lip service.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, lip service
Yeah.
about.
Yes, the last Saturday.
But again, it can't always be Matt Hanson. I see you guys sitting out the tables at every time, like up at this.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be like
Yeah, I'm
critical or
just
mean
saying-
of the community, because
Yeah,
people
no.
are busy and I get it. and
Well, for
the- the-
fundraising for the litigation, I'll be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
the bottom line is, and I think this is really the issue with the community, is we only have 7,000 people. That's really like, that's a big California high school, right? It's not that many people, and we really are isolated. I really genuinely do believe that the main reason nothing has happened for the village is that most politicians drive by it. They don't drive into the community, they don't see what's happening in here. It was amazing when Bob and Dave and I gave the Waikōloa Greens people a tour of the community. They had never been inside it, because they had no reason to, right? So of course nothing's gonna happen.
Well, I jumped to.
Was that?
Takuda.
Takuda, yeah, everyone, we go back and show them, they're always stunned what's going on because they don't see
And I
it.
don't know if she's just a great politician or what, but on the day of the July 10th fire, she texted us directly.
She
"Matt,
personally texted
are you
Mike.
guys okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard about the fire. Are you okay?"
And like, so they're paying attention and they're watching, but like the people locally, it's not happening and solving, and like We just need more, we need more, we need more help. And it's,
That happening, how do you see the community coming together and getting more involved with this group?
Well, the other part of it is that we don't deliver good news a lot here.
it's not fun. And again, I'm not trying to be critical, but if you look around the room, there's an average age in here and Aslan and I aren't fitting in it. And the main
What are you
group.
saying?
Yeah, and
They're the
so,
old folks.
yeah, and so like we need to like. I so vastly appreciate every single one of you for coming, and I'm not trying to be critical of that, but we don't need more of you all. We need much more of the populations that are not represented in this group. We need what in this room, we need more people that look like us, more people that don't look like us and don't speak our languages, and more people with young kids.
We want to reach parents at the schools, but everyone's working.
Everyone's busy, right? Everyone's working 2 jobs to go
Or
pay their
you're
mortgage.
retired, you don't want to sit
You
in
don't
a
wanna sit
meeting
and listen to
about
us talk about
fire and
this.
the deaths in Lahaina for
You wanna go to
90
the
minutes.
beach doing a
That's
golf.
nuts. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we've got to do it. Like really, the reason we're like this is because we evacuated with our daughter, and it was her first birthday. You know, the day of those fires. It was like she was 2 days away from her birthday, and we like something just flipped in our brains.
Yeah.
But it's really hard, Phyllis, to answer your question. When we first started this, it was 2024. The further we get from Lahaina,
Right.
the more people forget.
Yeah.
There is an amnesia that happens. But a lot of people went to the evacuation study meeting because the fire happened to be burning 4 days before. And people were like upset about it. And on Facebook, people were saying, go to this meeting coming up. There's no way there would have been that many people in that room if there hadn't been a fire. So whenever there's a fire,
The signed up sheet.
people show up.
have the email.
Well, unfortunately, what's helping us keep attention is the whole damn planet is burning.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So how do we connect with the younger generation? Do we have to make it more social or?
we were talking about doing like a rally for the road with like face painting and like music and stuff like that. But the more we talked about it, the more it got to the point of like, well, what are we actually trying to seek out from doing such a thing? And it would be like media attention. And if we want that, why don't we just pay a PR firm directly? It'll be a lot cheaper and a lot easier to get the same impact out of it. If we wanted, what do we want the residents to do? And if I had to choose, I would say, I want them to cut the bushes down around their trees, first and foremost. The second thing I want them to do is give some money to us so that we can sue the government. The third thing I want them to do is write some testimony and support us, right? And like that's an easiest one for them to do, actually, but it's a matter of getting in front of them and like getting them to think that it's worth their time and everything. But like our challenge is it's really waxes and wanes when we need your attention and we need your help and when we don't, because something's happening all of a sudden and we need money or we need letters written or whatever, but then 3 months go by and nothing. Right, so like,
Or, we got a lot of people to write testimony in for the $2.5 million of the budget that passed. And now it's a year later, and that money we're being told is a wish list. And if you're somebody who just engaged for the first time and you're thinking, I wrote a letter, I signed something, did I sign something? And then you find out nothing happened with it, that's really disheartening. And so, but we cannot prevent that, predict that, but we still need people to write testimony from time to time. We just can't promise anything good will happen.
the thing that would be the most valuable, quite honestly, is if we could have a full true alliance between this organization and the WBA for legal homes. And if you could go write your board members and say, hey, we really want you to push forward with this and help out the Waikōloa Village Association or Wildfire Safety Advocates.
The
That would be big.
WBA does have $169,000 set aside every year for a wildfire mitigation fund that currently is not attached to an actual wildfire mitigation plan. Besides trying to clear down the overgrowth in the abandoned lots, in the lots in the village, that is the plan.
I can,
$169,000 every year. Part of your dues go to that.
What if you have a little quarter page write-up in the Rees?
but again, we are not the WBA. And
We don't
have
need to
control
move out of the village for our own mental
Mental
health
health.
reasons
Oh,
And
because
I
of the
can-
fire.
I continue to believe that the WBA has the potential to have the greatest impact on public safety in the community. They could change some rules, they can do a lot more with this. But we spent a lot of time and energy trying to influence that and it didn't work.
Well,
but if someone else,
Don't say,
I'm not saying
don't say it didn't work.
it didn't work, it hasn't worked for us in the way that I expected and it was.
The board invited me to come in and give them a briefing at the last meeting, in the executive session. On our ideas for litigation. And they voted 6-1 to designate one of their members to liaison with us around the possibility of bringing litigation. So I'm at, tonight I've actually finished drafting it, send it out. A cooperative agreement between our organization and the board, the WBA board. On developing and possibly filing litigation. So that would be in their inboxes in the morning. I finished it, I just haven't emailed it yet. And we are hopeful that they will cooperate with us in supporting litigation. So that will help us with the funding. And it will help us with getting stories into trees. Because if the board does something, they will want to tell members about it. So that's where that stands. And I'm hopeful based on the feedback that the board members gave me in that executive session. I was surprised and I mean, the vote was 6-1, but there was no one of the 7 who opposed litigation. It was just one of them.
You have a firefighter that's on board.
Yes, and he was one of the loudest voices in the room saying. It looks like we have to do this.
So yeah, so push them to do to support us, that would be very beneficial.
Yes.
Another interesting thing you stated earlier is more and more of this village is not part of the Waikōloa Association.
Yes.
And so how do we, I mean, that's a lot of people with that new apartments down by the park. And of course, we're planning on those states and then now not in fact, how are we gonna get all those? In the association.
There is an opportunity for a champion to come into this village and fill the gap. But I remember reading an article about the new Kamakoanui workforce housing.
Oh, yeah.
And the journalist asked, do you think about the fire at the back of the village? And they had no idea what she was talking about.
They haven't been into.
No awareness of wildfire.
And that's a ton of kids down there.
It's a gap. It's a huge gap. Absolutely. We can't solve it.
Yeah, I just wonder how to start trying to get all these new developments.
We're a
next door.
a Waikōloa Community Association, which is take the model from Waimea and like have some sort of local, that's what it is, and like. It's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take, but it would be worthwhile if someone could build it.
Are there young people in Waimea's Community Association or is it the senior?
I think there's people like in their 30s and 40s who are, well, the secretary is a teacher from Parker and but it's a mixed bag. It's not, but it's so well attended. And the community restaurants bring food for every meeting. And they bring in firefighters 1 month, police 1 month, they do appreciation nights and it's very well organized and it's something to aspire to for us, but it's not anything we have the capacity to focus on beyond, what we're doing right now. So it's 8 minutes past, we rarely go over. Thank you all for the wonderful conversation. We'll still be here.
So is there anything anyone had to get off their chest or ask about right now?
No, I just feel like how,
Yeah, I think we did.
besides just like monetary, like how, you got some passionate people here.
Yes.
And I think that you gotta brainstorm how we need to go forward with this
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, and it could be that we have calcified in sort of the way that we worked over the last 3 years,
Yeah.
that we need to rethink
Yeah.
how to harness the energy of the people in this room and the community.
How often is this your meeting?
Every month.
We will not cancel this
We have
meeting.
never missed a meeting in 3 years.
And like just here, just start a small email so that if any one of us has a wild and crazy idea, or if somebody wants to start something on next door to do like, I'm
Like social media is the best way to get a
Well,
wider.
that's your guys, us old fogies don't tend.
Yeah, and
I
we're
disagree.
pretty limited. My network posts, when I deploy them, get a lot of attention.
But other than
and
that,
a
I made
lot
him delete it
of
off his
click-through.
phone for a while.
Yeah, so but and this is like a. You can just toss money at it, honestly. What I need more than anything else is a 19-year-old social media.
Right.
That's what I need. I need about $20,000 to hire a 19-year-old to do posts in reels,
No,
keep it up.
you don't need that much money. And
Give them service credit. They
Yeah.
all need service hours at school.
yeah,
Well,
$200 a month.
I would suggest that we could really use someone who would plan our outreach. Plan to participate in the music events at this table, plan to participate in the market. Market, plan to meet with the PTA at the school. On a regular basis.
Yeah.
If we had one person who could take responsibility for just thinking about how we can reach out to a larger community, that would pay off in multiple ways. And so if you're interested.
Well, I already contacted the president of the PTSA. So Katie Jacoby, but we're missing each other. But yeah, so I was kind of targeting that. I still think with you and next door, I think if we have like the buddy, possibly thinking about how to connect with the neighbors. Cause they've got the Halloween treats, like what house has treats.
Yeah.
And Christmas lights, so why don't we have like a wildfire captain, safety walk captain or something?
And I think
That's
something
Firewise.
Firewise was
This
working on
is,
that. No, you should go to their meetings.
You should go to the Firewise.
We got it. So
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
they were trying to work on.
Well,
One of the
and we-
problems with Firewise is that they are under the WBA.
So they
So
are.
that was an intentional choice we made when we founded this group. We do not only want to represent members of the association, but every single person who lives in this area code.
You can't.
But they only technically can do home assessments on
Well,
WBA.
they say they'll do
codes.
them elsewhere, but the.
Yeah.
It's. You can't force people to like you, and you can't force the same attention on the same topics, right? And so there is a reason there are two separate groups. One is focused on the house and the individual and the block and what we can do to support one another very closely in an actual situation. We are here to try and influence the big levers and the big money to make the big structural changes.
I just wish the right hand is knowing what the left hand is doing.
I would love
Yeah.
that too.
Well,
So
I
we
think,
could go to that meeting too and see.
I think we do know what each other is doing. I don't think that's a puzzle that needs to be solved. Well, what we don't have is enough outreach for the community so that the larger community is aware of what we are doing and they are doing. We know what each other is doing, but it's the outreach to the community that's
Yeah.
missing.
A lot of people still say that we're Firewise. Oh, you guys are Firewise. We are not Firewise. It's very confusing, but they exist and they're important, and we exist and we're important. And you have HWMO and they exist, and we all, like Bob said, we know what we're doing. White
They're
wildfire
the parent
management.
organization of Firewise, and they've been around for a long
For a
time.
long
They are the only other 501(c)(3) in the state of Hawaii that has wildfire in their name, and their focus is Firewise and defensible space.
And where did they meet and live?
They don't.
No,
They don't meet. They don't have. They have staff and employees. And they do like public like webinars and stuff, but it is focused on defensible space. what you can do to your house to protect it from happening, which again is important. I want to make this absolutely clear. At no point in time have we said that is not important. It is the first thing that needs to happen, and we make sure that everyone knows that. We are not saying that it is not important.
It's one of the three legs of the welfare
Yes.
stool.
Yes,
The road is one to evacuate. Preventing fires from burning down your house is the second one. And the third one is controlling the vegetation above the village that is available to burn. Those are the three most important strategies.
and saying that one is more important than the other is hitting one against the other.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone in this room has said that.
I don't think anyone in this room
No,
has said that, but
we
I'm
haven't.
saying this for some people on the internet who have.
Okay.
And I'm very upset.
Okay, it's 7. I'm gonna call the meeting. I'm gonna end the Zoom.
We don't
Thank
need
you,
to go there.
We
Andrea.
don't need to go there.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.